What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with a review for The Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 15, Episode 4, you guys. The episode is titled The Buck Stops in Birmingham, you guys. So, before we go ahead and get into this review, if you guys are watching this or any other video on the channel, and you guys aren't subscribed yet, do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and also by sharing the video. And with that out of the way, you guys, without further ado, let's discuss Real Housewives of Atlanta, shall we? All right, you guys, so this episode, it really wasn't a whole lot to me, right? But we're going to definitely talk about it. So let's start up from the bottom and work our way to the top. So first, let's start talking about Charade. So I'm going to call her by her name this week because her story in this episode was actually a really good one. It is one that a Potomac housewife should have done instead of what she did, right? So Charade went to her OBGYN and Charade has fibroids. Now, much like with Zelle, her not talking about her hysterectomy, I am happy that Charade is talking about her fibroid issues that she has because that is something that plagues black women, right? So I'm happy to see someone discuss it. But with Charade, the one thing I will say about Charade, because her doctor gave her options, they can try to shrink it, they can, shrink the fibroids, or they can do surgery, right, to remove the fibroids and her uterus, right? But if they remove her fibroids and her uterus, she's going to have some downtime, so she's not going to be able to work out. She's not going to be able to have sex. Things that I think she might find important, right? But where she lost me at is when she was talking about she won't be able to build She by Charade. At this point, girl, nobody is thinking about She by Charade. Nobody cares about She by Charade. I don't even think you give a damn about She by Charade. So stop with the farce, girl. But like I said, I do like the fact that she talked about the fibroids, and like I said, if it's nice to see it, right? I think with Atlanta, the way I feel about Atlanta right now is the storylines aren't really storying, but I will say I'm glad that they're not coming up with the fake beefs and stuff and fake stuff to just push the season along, i.e. Zelle, i.e. Robin, i.e. Ashley, and all of them, right? I'm happy that we're seeing what's really happening with these women. And that's really all I got, you guys. But let me know what you guys thought about that with Charade in the comments below. And we're going to pause here and move forward. Next up, you guys, let's talk about Sanya. Sanya. Honestly, you guys, when it comes to Sanya, I do find Sanya to be a little bit boring. I found Sanya to be boring last season, but I really more so found her to be even more boring in this season, right? So Sanya is talking to her brother-in-law. You guys remember that her brother-in-law is her assistant, right? So she's just telling her brother-in-law all the things that she needs done, right? Now, honestly, the way she talked to her brother-in-law versus the way that Kenya talks to the people that work for her, I'm cool with it, right? But when it comes to Sanya, here's the thing when it comes to Sanya. I just noticed, why does her family have interviews? Her mama and her sister both had an interview look together. I was like, why? Now, I know that in Real Housewives of Atlanta fashion, they do that from time to time, right? They give family members, spouses, the husbands, they give them interviews. So I don't really have an issue with it. But of all people, Sanya? Why Sanya? So that's neither here nor there, right? So Sanya also told her mom that, she talked to Ross. And Ross is at the point now where he wants their household to be just for them, right? It's just be for her, him, their son, and if they want to have any more kids, right? He wants it just to be a Ross household. And I mean, I don't blame the man, right? Because y'all got to be having a situation like Jasmine and Silas is over on Summer House Martha's Vineyard, right? Because it's one thing to be parents, right? It's one thing to want to have. I knew that there was a wasp in there. I knew that there was a living wasp in that nest. I just saw it fly out. I knew it. So they're going to have to come out here and get that thing tomorrow. So we have to put in an order for that. But yeah, what were we talking about? What were we talking about? Oh, they're going to have to come out here and do that. Because no. Because JB can't do wasp things or bee stings at all. But what were we talking about again? Oh, Ross and Sanya. So they, it's one thing when you want to be, want to have alone times, adult fun time when you got a young child, but it's a different situation when you got a house full of people, right? Your parents, your sister, and her husband, and they kids, right? How do y'all get it in? It's got to be the most uncomfortable thing to do, right? That wasp nest is really going to bother me because I keep looking up at it. But yeah, Ross wants the house back to himself. Honestly, if we're being honest, I think Sonya's whole family wants that. I think that family wants to go, but I think Sonya wants everybody under the same roof. I don't have an issue with it, but when people be like, you know what, we need our space, give it to them, right? So then we see Sonya later in the episode, and she's doing a photo shoot, right? And we find out that her brother-in-law, he quit as her assistant, and I mean, shit, if he felt like that's what he needed to do, then shit, he did what he needed to do, and I don't really have an issue with it, right? So she talks about how she feels like him quitting is putting a strain on her relationship with her sister, right? Well, I mean, I don't necessarily know how him quitting is putting a restraint on her relationship, but I mean, if that's how Sonya feels, then that's how Sonya feels. I can't tell her any other way, but I think the strain on your relationship with your sister is you and not the working relationship. I think it might be you. I think you might want to sit down with your sister and have a long and in-depth conversation with your sister. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, you guys, that's really all we got for Sonya in this episode. Let's pause here and go ahead and move forward. All right, you guys. So next up, let's discuss Marlo Hampton. So let me start out by saying Marlo is delusional, number one. Marlo is a liar, number two, right? So Marlo last night, she was on Twitter. So her and Monietta were going at it last night. I know Drew had tweeted her last night. I believe Kenya had tweeted some stuff about her last night. Like everybody on the cast last night was basically coming at Marlo, and I'm okay with that, right? Because Marlo is full of shit. Marlo is full of shit. So we see Marlo. So her and her nephews, they are doing her annual Halloween photo shoot, right? And cool, bam, bam, boom. So she has her sister Crystal come down, and so Marlo is talking about the fact that it's been 20 years since she, slashed that girl's face, right? So she's trying to get it to where she's able to legally own a gun, right? Because she couldn't own a gun before now, right? So then she says that, she's telling her sister that Courtney is going to come down. This is somebody else that I can do without. Like, if I go down the line of people on Real Housewives of Atlanta that I can deal without, Courtney is one, Marlo is number two, and Sonya is number three, right? So she says that Courtney put her in contact with someone who can get her record expunged, right? And she'll be able to get a gun. So that way, she won't have a situation like what happened last year with her and her nephews, right? So she then says that, she's been friends with Candy them for years, and Candy has never tried to help her get her record expunged or do anything. And I'm like, ma'am, that number one, that's not her job to do. Number two, that ain't her job. Number three, if you asked her and she said, oh yeah, Marlo, I know such and such, I'm pretty sure Candy would have given you a contact if she knew somebody that could help you with that. But why would Candy know anything about getting a record expunged when this woman doesn't have a record herself? So I'm a little bit on the confused side about that one, right? So Courtney came down. Again, like I said a few minutes ago, Courtney can literally go, I don't like Courtney. Her face annoys me. Her voice annoys me. She annoys me, right? So Courtney came down, and once again, we bring up Marlo's nephew. Now, I do want to say I do feel empathy for Marlo and her family that the boy died, right? I do feel for them. And I'm not going to sit here and be an asshole. I do feel for Marlo and her family. But here's my thing. I don't know how she's trying to draw a comparison or parallel to Candy, because she's trying to say that the boy worked at OLG, right? Okay, he worked at OLG. What did you want Candy? It's almost as if you want Candy to send a flower or pay for the damn funeral herself, right? So then she's talking about my nephew worked at OLG, and that's where he met his roommate at. What the hell does that have? Again, I'm gonna ask this question one more time. What does any of that have to do with Candy? Candy did not tell that boy to go do what he did to your nephew. So the other issue that I have is she keeps talking about OLG, OLG. That shooting did not happen at OLG. The shooting happened at Blaze. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe that shooting happened at Blaze. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I really do believe that that shooting happened at Blaze and not OLG. Well, no matter where it happened, that has nothing to do with Candy. Candy can't control what other people do. Here's the other thing. You were mad at Drew in last week's episode because she did not say the word shooting. What does Marlo want? Like, Marlo is so insufferable. Marlo is so aggravating, and Marlo is so damn annoying. Then Marlo says that her family has an issue with Candy because of the funeral. I was like, girl, what the fuck did y'all want from Candy? Like, I'm just not understanding what these people wanted from Candy. It's almost as if y'all wanted Candy to send y'all some money and say, here, do whatever the fuck you want to do with it. Like, what the hell? And that, okay, you guys, I am so sorry, but that is a big ass wasp. And like I said earlier, I can't get stung by a wasp, neither here nor there. But that's really, like, Marlo is really annoying. And I really want Marlo to just, this piece together peach that she got from Portia and Cynthia, can we just slice that hoe in half and give it to another, slice it in half, right? And just go find another piece, cut that hoe, cut it, let somebody eat it, and then we can, from that we can get 2 new peach. I honestly feel like Monyetta could use a peach. And that was the other thing about Marlo last night. She was talking about the fact that Monyetta don't have a peach. And everybody was like, girl, how many years did it take you to get a peach? Exactly. Shut that ass up. So let's pause here and move forward, you guys. I think we're going to wrap up the episode. Yeah, you guys. So we're wrapping this episode up with Kenya. So we see Kenya. You guys know Kenya is going to be performing at the Magic City Classic, right? We saw that on Bell Collective, Real Housewives of Atlanta, and College Hill, if you guys have been paying attention, right? So she's going to be doing this with Monyetta. And, well, she's rehearsing with Monyetta, right? So we find out that Monyetta, did a dance, was on a dance troupe. I think she said she danced with Prince and Genuine. I never knew that, right? So while they were talking, they sat down and talked, and while they were talking, Roy called. So Kenya is still not divorced from Mark. I think that's still currently too. What the hell is going on with that divorce? Now, I know at one point I read in the blogs that Mark wanted half of her, wanted her house, right? But I also think I recently read in the blogs that Kenya is selling that house. Girl, do what you got to do. I really don't care, but get rid of that damn man, right? So that's the end of that scene, right? So then we see as they're getting ready to leave from Atlanta to head to Alabama, right? So they're not going to be meeting up at Kenya's house because Kenya has that steep ass driveway, right? So they're going to meet up at Charade's house, which is a block away, right? So everyone shows up with the exception of Drew and Candy because Candy had a previous engagement and Drew has the flu, right? So what I will say about Kenya, I've started to like Kenya a lot more than I have over the last few seasons, but to see the way that Kenya talks to the people that works for her, it's just so fucking disrespectful, and I wouldn't be able to put up with it. Like, there's just no way I would be able to put up with Kenya talking to people the way she does, right? So on the way to Birmingham, Kenya's laying out what's going to be happening for the ladies, right? She lets them know that they're going to be going to a dance class. There's also going to be a charity event that they're going to go to. So that's that, right? Now, I don't know if she told them beforehand. I don't know if she told the ladies what to pack, right? But that's neither here nor there, right? So on the way to this dance class, they brought up eating the booty. I was like, say what now? Because I guess one of Future's baby mama said that, something about she ate his ass, and I vividly remember that being in the blogs. And I vividly remember thinking to myself, why the fuck is this in the blogs? Why the fuck do we need to know that you ate Future's ass? Like, girl, nobody asked for that tidbit of information, right? So, also, before they got there, they found, Kenya found out that Bryce, is Courtney's whatever he is, her ex, her baby daddy, her well, he ain't really a co-parent because, y'all ain't co-parenting a grown-ass adult. But, okay, if that's what y'all want to say, girl, set yourself off, right? So, Kenya was like, I don't know one Bryce. He was in a three-group, a trio, right? And she said, yeah, that's him from Groove Theory. So he FaceTimed her, actually asking her, when is she coming back, right? Don't care, Courtney can go, right? So then they also talked about the concert. They did the actually no. So let's go back a little bit. So they actually did the dance class, right? They learned how to, what is it called? They learned how to buck, right? And the winner of the bucking contest would get the biggest room. Mind you, she said the biggest room, not a suite. She said the biggest room. But Charade ended up winning, and Charade went to her room. She said, this ain't no suite. I said, Charade, she didn't say the biggest room. She didn't say a suite. She just said the biggest room, right? So they went to have something to eat, right? And this is where they talked about what happened at the concert, right? They talked about Courtney and Candy. I ain't gonna delve into that because I don't give a damn about that. But then they talked about Drew and Marlo, right? So Kenya was telling them how Drew said that, Marlo was in her face, standing over her, and very aggressive, right? So Marlo wants to say she was not standing over Drew and she was not aggressive. I was like, girl, what the fuck do you call it, right? So the producers only show Marlo when she was sitting. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, but y'all showed us the whole entire situation where she sat down. True enough, Marlo did sit down, right? But Marlo also got up in Drew's face. Marlo also got up in Drew's face and said, my nephew's dead, bitch. And she bucked at her. So I don't know why production, why did they do that? Because if you go back to the beginning of the episode when they show previously on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, they actually showed that scene where she said, my nephew's dead, bitch. And again, I'm not taking away from Marlo's nephew being, murdered or whatnot. And I'm not going to sit here and take away from that. I'm not going to be insensitive. But what I do have a question about is, what the fuck does that have to do with Candy's cousin getting shot? And what the fuck does that have to do with Drew not saying the word shooting? Because Marlo wanted to go on social media last week and say that she was triggered. But Drew never said the word shooting. You're the one that brought up that word. So then you're the one that triggered yourself, not Drew. Girl, make that shit make sense. Marlo is a contradiction. Marlo gets on my nerves. Marlo can go. I really want them to take that rancid peach away from Marlo after this season. Please and thank you. Take that rancid ass peach away from Marlo, LaToya, Hutchins, Hampton, right? That's all I gotta say. So, you remember, I told you Kenya told the ladies that they were going to a charity event. It's black, I think she said it's black tie, right? So Monyetta had on a jumpsuit at one point in this. And so Kenya said, no, Monyetta, I need you to go back and change. This is a charity event. Baby. So Monyetta said, okay, she'll go see what she can find. And she called Kenya and told her she found something else. Once again, I know Kenya wasn't trying to be rude to Monyetta, but it was the way that you rushed her off the phone. Say, oh, Monyetta, you're going to have to find your own way because we got to go. We got to go. Bye, Monyetta. I was like, oh, girl, that's just kind of R-U-D-E. Rude as fuck. So they get to the charity event, right? And I don't know what, Monyetta's jumpsuit would have been just fine. Because Ken talking about we're not going to the strip club. That jumpsuit, it wasn't nothing wrong with the jumpsuit. The jumpsuit came a little, over her thighs. It wasn't a bad jumpsuit. It ain't like you could see her ass. It ain't like she didn't have no underwear on. It ain't like her cleavage was out or nothing like that. Monyetta looked very presentable. So I just didn't understand what the issue was. When y'all got to that charity event, I would have preferred to go to the strip club over that charity event because it looked hella boring. And then y'all got y'all asses kicked the fuck out. Now, I was confused by that. When they got kicked out, I was like, so These people didn't know that the Real Housewives of Atlanta was currently filming at the time. So they just said, what? Oh, no, no cameras here. So get y'all black asses out. Like, I was so confused by that part, but it is what it is, right? So they left. So they went back to the hotel. So it's all the girls are together. Charade, Monietta, Courtney, Sonia, and Marlo, right? Kenya is up in her room with Brookie. This scene right here kind of pissed me off because I thought this was like the most insensitive shit we could do. So the ladies went up to where Kenya's room is, right? They knocked on the door. She didn't come to the door. So then you get Marlo. Marlo is banging on Kenya's door. Then she's kicking on her door, talking about Summer, Summer. Lady, do you have anybody's home training? Like Marlo had like, oh, you know, it's interesting when Nene said that Phaedra and Portia were declassed in the show. No, your girlfriend over here, Marlo Hampton, is the one who is declassing the damn show. Like, please, for the love of God, for season 16, take Marlo's speech back and give that piece to anybody except for Courtney. Like I tweeted this last night. Like I will take anybody over Marlo. I will take Claudia Jordan back, right? And I wasn't the biggest fan of Claudia's. I would go back. Y'all can go and get Demetria McKinney. She didn't hold a peach, but y'all can go get Claudia, Demetria McKinney. Y'all can get who else? Deshaun Snow. Y'all can get Lisa Wu Hartwell. Y'all can get Kim Fields. Y'all can get Shamari DeVoe. Y'all can get Eva. Y'all can get anybody but fucking Marlo. Actually, let's talk about this real quick, you guys, because I was reading the blogs this past weekend where they were talking about the fact that Kim Zolciak is begging for her job back. Now, mind you, Kim has gone on so many interviews saying she would never come back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. But you guys know that later on in this season, Kim is gonna make a cameo appearance with Deshaun and Lisa Wu, and I was like, you made a day appearance, huh? You needed some money, bitch. Like, I ain't calling Kim a bitch. I'm just saying that's what my thinking was like. Bitch, you need some money. And now that we know you're going through a divorce, oh, you definitely need some money, sis. But here's my thing when it comes to Bravo. Again, like I said, I'll take anybody from Marlo except Kim. Kim is the last person I ever want to see. I damn sure don't want to see Marlo for another season, but I know for a goddamn sure I do not want to see Kim Zolciak. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section. What do you think about that, right? Do you guys want? I know a lot of us don't. But would you guys be okay if Kim came back for another season? Let me know in the comment section below, you guys. Would you guys be fine with Kim returning for another season? How do y'all feel about Marlo this season? Tell me how y'all feel. We're 4 episodes into Real Housewives of Atlanta. Tell me what y'all thinking so far about Real Housewives of Atlanta. Honestly, for me right now, Real Housewives of Atlanta, it ain't hitting the way that I would like for it to hit. It's not a terrible season. I'll say so far it's a lot better than what we got from the Real Housewives of Potomac season 7. But it's... Now here's my thing. I don't need a whole lot of drama, right? That ain't what I need. I don't need a lot of drama. I prefer to have actual storylines, right? But there's very little storyline. You know, despite what I think about Carlos, he is kind of right about one thing. There is a lack of storyline, but he needs to take that same advice and move it, attach it to his shows that he has on because some of his shows lack storyline, but that's neither here nor there, you guys. But yeah, that's really all I got for this episode. Nothing less, nothing more. If you guys want to add to it, if I missed anything, we can definitely discuss that in the comment section below, you guys. But subscribe to the channel, turn your post notifications on, you guys. Share the video, and until next time, you guys, stay safe, take care of yourselves, wash your hands, be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.